Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. We're 5 minutes early. What the hey? We've got a lot of books to get through. Welcome or welcome back. It is Tuesday, August the 6th, and we are here to look at the new releases that are being set into the wild this week. And on Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers, and I don't know what it is about this week because maybe it's because it's the first week of the month. There are lots today, and there's lots tomorrow. I was prepping tomorrow as well. Tons. So we're going to get going here. Hope you had a good night. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll go for 2.5 hours. I do them 3 times a week. We do them every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. Good morning, Kim. You inspired me. I'm here. Been awake since around 3:30. Probably won't last. No kidding. Slept last 45 minutes or so. Yes, you get to have a nap or two. And I'm jealous. All right, let's hop in because, as I say, we have a lot. Hopefully, anybody else will get caught up, but let's get going. First up, After Oz by Gordon McAlpin. Kansas, 1896. After a tornado destroys the Gale family farm, 11-year-old Dorothy goes missing. As the days pass, the Gales are increasingly terrified the worst has happened. Yes, she was sucked up into another world where there's color. But when the girl turns up unharmed 4 days later, the townsfolk breathe a sigh of relief. That is, until Dorothy herself relates her account of the events that took place during her disappearance. In vivid detail, Dorothy describes the fantastical land and its magical inhabitants: a scarecrow, a tin man, a cowardly lion, a wizard, a witch. Her recollections are not only regarded as delusional, but also as pagan and diabolical in nature, especially when the body of a local spinster is found matching Dorothy's description of a witch she claims to have killed. Authorities find incriminating evidence tying Dorothy to the real murder, and they sentence Dorothy to the Topeka Insane Asylum. When 28-year-old psychologist Dr. Evelyn Grace Wilford arrives at the asylum to interview Dorothy, she begins to wonder if Dorothy truly committed the crime or if something unfathomable has really occurred. In a small town full of insidious secrets, Evelyn sets out to save Dorothy from her terrible circumstances, but can't help but fear whether something menacing may be lurking just out of sight. Interesting twist, and you could totally see how that would happen. We get the adventure. They get the crime. Unbalanced by D.P. Lyle. Jake Longley is never saying yes to his father again. It was a simple task, 5 minutes tops. Ex-pro baseball player Jake Longley, this is 7th in the Jake Longley series. Jake Longley and his girlfriend Nicole are asked by Jake's father Ray, a private investigator, to pick up some papers from a realtor for his business. Jake would rather be lying on the beach outside of his Gulf Shores restaurant, but he begrudgingly agrees. It'll only take a few minutes. But somehow, things are never simple in Ray's world. When Jake and Nicole reach the office, they find it empty, except for the dead body of the realtor lying on the floor, a single gunshot wound to his head. But who could have wanted him dead? The long suspect list and the numerous possible motives make untying the knot difficult. Working with the police department, Jake, Nicole, Ray, and their friend Pancake dive into the deceivingly simple investigation, which grows more complex by the minute. With millions of dollars at stake, weeding through the realtor's entanglements requires all hands on deck, and yet again, Jake is dragged into the PI business he can't seem to escape. Sarah Stewart Taylor has a new one. This is actually first in a new series. Agony Hill by Sarah Stewart Taylor, first in the Frank Warren series. In the hot summer of 1965, Bostonian Franklin Warren arrives in Bethany, Vermont to take a position as a detective with the state police. Warren's new home is on the verge of monumental change. The interstates under construction will bring new people, new opportunities, and new problems to Vermont, and the Cold War and protests against the war in Vietnam have finally reached the dirt roads and rolling pastures of Bethany. Warren has barely unpacked when he's called up to a remote farm on Agony Hill. Former New Yorker and back to the lander Hugh Weber seems to have set fire to his barn and himself, with the door barred from the inside, but things aren't adding up for Warren. The people of Bethany, from Weber's enigmatic drinking game wife to Warren's neighbor, widow, and amateur detective Alice Bellows, clearly have secrets they'd like to keep, but Warren can't tell if the truth about Weber's death is one of them. As he gets to know his new home and grapples with the tragedy that brought him there, Warren is drawn to the people and traditions of small town Vermont, even as he finds darkness amidst the beauty. A World of Hurt by Mindy Mejia. Mejia? Kara Johnson always knew she'd die young and violently. It didn't matter who delivered the final blow, she would deserve it. Her years spent running drugs and spreading violence would guarantee it, but death doesn't always go as planned. When her girlfriend sacrifices herself to save Kara's life, Kara is left grieving and adrift. She doesn't know why she's alive until the DEA shows up and offers her a choice: go to prison or turn informant to lure out the last of the drug trafficking ring that murdered her girlfriend. Max Summerlin is the kind of cop who needs answers. He's been shot twice in the last year while looking for them. Despite his family's objections and his struggle with chronic pain, he accepts an invitation from the DEA task force eagerly. That is until he realizes he'll be babysitting reformed drug trafficker Kara Johnson as she goes undercover. Max knows Kara is keeping secrets. Kara doesn't trust anyone, let alone Max. But the cop and the criminal will have to find a way to work together fast because they aren't the only ones hunting down the remains of a drug empire. And the kingpin who lurks in the shadows will stop at nothing to win. We started a little bit early, guys, because there are so many. So I'm going to really try to get to everything. So we started about 5 minutes early. Oh, that one came out already. Oof, one less. Eye of the Beholder by Emma Bamford. Inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's classic thriller Vertigo. When Maddie White is hired to ghostwrite the memoir of world-renowned cosmetic surgeon Dr. Angela Reynolds, she thinks it might just be her chance to get her career back on track. She travels to Angela's remote estate in the Scottish Highlands to hunker down and learn everything she can. But the deeper she digs, the more elusive the doctor becomes. Is there more hidden beneath the surface of the kaleidoscopic beauty industry that Angela wants to reveal? Then Angela wants to reveal. Sharing the estate is Angela's enigmatic, oh my goodness, drinking game again, business partner Scott, whose mercurial moods change as quickly as the conditions on the darkening moors outside. Confined to the glass-walled house, Maddie can't shake the feeling of being watched. As objects go missing, handprints appear on the windows, and a stranger lurks in the grounds, she finds herself drawn ever closer to Scott. Returning to London once the book is finished, Maddie's excited for their future together. But her dreams are shattered at the book launch when Angela learns that Scott has leapt to his death from the Scottish cliffs. Which is why, months later, and lost in a fog of grief, Maddie is completely blindsided when she sees Scott entering the tube station just in front of her. It can't be him, can it? After all, Scott is dead. Or is he? House of Glass by Sarah Pekkanen. Didn't start until 8 on my end. Had it up and it started in the middle of a book. Weird. Which one? Maybe I'll have to go back. Oh, Good Intentions. House of Glass by Sarah Pekinen. The next thrilling novel, blah, blah, blah. On the outside, they were the golden family with the perfect life. On the inside, they built the perfect lie. A young nanny who plunged to her death, or was she pushed? A 9-year-old girl who collects sharp objects and refuses to speak. A lawyer whose job it is to uncover who is in the family is a victim and who is a murderer. But how can you find out the truth when everyone here is lying? Rose Barkley is a 9-year-old girl who witnessed the possible murder of her nanny in the midst of her parents' bitter divorce and immediately stopped speaking. Stella Hudson is a best interest attorney appointed to serve as counsel for children in custody cases. She never accepts clients under 13 due to her own traumatic childhood, but Stella's mentor, a revered judge, believes Stella is the only one who can help. From the moment Stella passes through the iron security gate and steps into the gilded, historic DC home of the Barclays, she realizes the case is even more twisted and the Barclay family far more troubled than she feared. But there's something eerie about the house itself. It's a plastic house with not a single bit of glass to be found. As Stella comes closer to uncovering the secrets that Barclays are desperate to hide, danger wraps around her like a shroud, and her past and present are set on a collision course in ways she never expected. Everyone is a suspect in the nanny's murder. Mother, the father, the grandmother, and the nanny's boyfriend, even Rose. Is the person Stella supposed to protect the one she may need to protect from? Questions. The drug one. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, YouTube's acting up. Um, I didn't get the notification. You usually get it like 30 minutes ahead of a show if you put the notification on. And I didn't get this one until 20 minutes before. It was weird. YouTube's acting up. It's Mercury retrograde. May the odds be ever in your favor. Only the Guilty Survive by Kate Robards. The mass suicide of a cult known as the Flock sent shockwaves through the small rural town of Iola, Michigan. Led by the charismatic Dominic Bragg, the Flock camped at an abandoned bird sanctuary before their sudden and shocking demise. The deaths came just weeks after one of their members, Laurel Ty, a local pageant queen, was abducted. The town turned its blame and fear onto the sole survivor, Claire Kettler, Laurel's best friend. Burdened by grief and unanswered questions about her friend's murder and her fellow cult members' deaths, Claire can't help but wonder what really happened, especially when the cult leader is nowhere to be found. When podcaster Arlo Stone begins poking around 10 years later, determined to uncover the truth about the cult and Laurel's murder, Claire is propelled back into action. In a desperate attempt to puzzle out the past and keep her secrets from being spilled for the entertainment of thousands of listeners, Claire must dig into a tangle of unanswered questions before time runs out and history repeats itself. The Chamber by Will Dean. And then there will none meets the last breath. They always have that little, if you like this. 6 experienced saturation divers are locked inside a hyperbaric chamber. Calm and professional, they know that rapid decompression would be fatal, and so they work in shifts, breathing helium and surviving in hot, close quarters. Then one of them is found dead in his bunk. With 4 days of decompression to go before the locked hatch to the chamber can be safely opened, the group must watch one another's backs at all times. And when another diver is discovered unresponsive, everyone is on edge. What or who is taking them out one by one? And will any of them still be alive by the time the 4 days is up, or will paranoia, exhaustion, suspicion, and pressure destroy them all? The ultimate locked room. Oh my God. No, no, I would not be there. The Devil Raises His Own by Scott Phillips. Los Angeles, 1916. Photographer Bill Ogden has opened a portrait studio in the seedy noir world of early Hollywood where he is joined by his granddaughter Flavia, a woman in need of a fresh start after bludgeoning her drunken, abusive husband to death in Wichita. Though his business is mainly legit, Bill finds himself brushing up against the blue movie porn industry growing in the shadows of the motion picture mainstream. When a series of grisly murders take place across the city, Bill and his capable granddaughter are pulled into events as tricky and tangled as anything this side of the big sleep. We meet dreamers, opportunists, washed up former stars, and star eyed newcomers, a cast of unforgettable characters living on the margins, looking to make a quick buck, launch a career, or just keep their family together. The Rule of Three. I'm just wondering why it didn't start at the beginning. Because when I start early for sprints, it seems to be okay. Why this one? There's some good books in the beginning. The Rule of Three by Sam Ripley. The Whisper Man meets the paranoia of the Blair Witch Project. Yes, let's compare it to movies. That's the one. That's the girl who's going to die. I didn't believe in the rule of three, not at first. It was just one of those urban myths you hear about all the time. A story my boyfriend told me about a girl cursed by the number three, a girl whose parents had killed themselves after her sibling had died in an accident, which meant that she was doomed to die too because that's the rule of three. Bad things always happen in threes, they say, and they are right because it's happening again. But this time the curse is coming for me, and worst of all, it's coming for you too. I roll. Time of the Flies. Now, this one was interesting. It's a book in translation by Claudia Pinheiro, translated by Frances Riddle. 15 years after killing her husband's lover, Inez is fresh out of prison and trying to put together a new life. Her old friend Manka is out now too, and they've started a business, FFF, or Females, Fumigation, and Flies, dedicated to pest control and private investigation by women for women. But Senora Bonar, one of their clients, wants Inez to do more than kill bugs. She wants her expertise and her criminal past to help her kill her husband's lover, too. Crimes against women versus crimes by women, culpability, fallibility, and our responsibilities to each other. This is Pinheiro at her wry, earthy best, alive to all the ways we shape ourselves to be understandable, to be understood by family and love and other hostile forces. Don't like the cover. Luckily, these aren't my usual books. And it does let me rewind to the beginning. Oh, okay. Weird. But thank you. I appreciate that. Word Hunter by Stella Sands. About a woman who uses her uncanny ability to analyze words and speech patterns to help solve crimes. Tattooed, pierced, and a bit of a mess, Maggie Moore is a surprising genius when it comes to words, a savant able to solve any linguistic puzzle. The top student in her forensic linguistics class, she's tapped by local police to use her skills to decipher, I can't even speak them, harrowing notes left by a stalker turned rapist, and succeeds brilliantly. But when the daughter of a local mayor is abducted, Maggie isn't sure she's the right person to help the police solve the crime. Given what happened to her best childhood friend, Maggie just might be too close to this one. Yet she knows the authorities in this rural South Central Florida town cannot crack the case without her special skill. Along with her new best friend, Detective Jackson, Maggie begins to analyze the texts, emails, and verbal tics of various suspects and comes to a disturbing conclusion that will rock this small community. Now that's intriguing to me. I will investigate that one further. James Rollins has a new one. 18th in the Sigma Force. This one's called Archangel. Currently in development as a TV series. The execution of a Vatican archivist within the shadows of the Kremlin exposes a conspiracy going back 3 centuries to the bloody era of the Russian Tsars. Before his murder, he manages to dispatch a coded message, a warning of a terrifying threat. Who? Who's murdered? One tied to a secret buried within the Golden Library of Tsars, a vast and treasured archive that had vanished into history. As combative forces race for the truth behind this death and alarming discovery, Sigma Force is summoned to aid in the search, not only for this missing trove of ancient books, but to follow a trail far into the Arctic to search for the truth about a lost continent and a revelation that could ignite a global war. But Sigma Force has its own difficulties at home after an explosive attack on the National Mall, one aimed at the heart of their covert agency, has left them vulnerable and exposed. The growing conflict, both on Russian soil and deep in the Arctic, will reignite a centuries-old war between the newly resurgent Russian Orthodox Church and the Vatican, while sabers rattle across the nations of the Arctic Circle, threatening to turn those icy seas into a fiery conflagration. Facing enemies on all sides, it will be up to Commander Gray Pierce and Sigma Force to unravel a mystery going back millennia and uncover the truth about a lost civilization and an arcane treasure that could save the planet or destroy it. Eagle Rock, an Ash Kane novel, book number 4 by Ian K. Smith. Billionaire Elliot Cantor, who ruled over a mammoth real estate portfolio in Chicago, was a creature of habit. His trainer came to his house 3 mornings every week for a 5:30 workout. By 6:30, he was in the car, and his driver drove him down into the city, where he'd get a shave and trim from his barber every morning, then head over to his offices on Wacker. He always, I don't know Chicago. It's probably pronounced Smith or something. He always ate breakfast at his desk, had 2 young assistants who tended to his every whim and demand, then spent all day in and out of meetings growing a business that had already made him one of the wealthiest men in the country. There were few surprises in his world, or so everyone thought, until Cantor died in his sleep at age 77, leaving behind a vast fortune and grieving wife, son, and 5 grandchildren. When Simon Cantor enlists Ash Kane to explore his father's death, the probing private investigator learns there was plenty of activities Elliot participated in after hours, including a sex traffic ring. And as Ash and readers will discover, this is only the beginning, and as our hero dives deeper and deeper into Elliot's hidden world, this may be the end for the intrepid Mr. Kane. My foot is falling asleep. Kathy Reichs has a new one. Fire and Bones, 23rd in the Temperance Brennan series. Good for her. I'm going to try and stay awake for Bible study, usually on Monday, but my friend had to change to Tuesday this week. Oh, nice. But stay awake. My Minister of Music's wife goes live on Facebook. Oh, good. Get to reach more people. You don't have to be there in person. So if you have to fall asleep, you can fall asleep. Always apprehensive about working fire scenes, Tempe is called to Washington, D.C. to analyze the victims of a deadly blaze and sees her misgivings justified. The devastated building is in Foggy Bottom, a neighborhood with a colorful past and present, and Tempe becomes suspicious about the property's ownership when she delves into its history. The pieces start falling into place strangely and quickly, and sensing a good story, Tempe teams with a new ally, telejournalist Ivy Doyle. Soon the duo learns that back in the 30s and 40s, the home was the hangout of a group of bootleggers and racketeers known as the Foggy Bottom Gang. Though interesting, this fact seems irrelevant until the son of a Foggy Bottom gang member is shot dead at his home in an affluent part of the district. Coincidence? Targeted attacks? So many questions. As Tempe and Ivy dig deeper, an arrest is finally made. Then another Foggy Bottom gang-linked property burns to the ground, claiming one more victim. Slowly, Tempe's instincts begin pointing to the obvious. Somehow, Her moves since coming to Washington have been anticipated, and every path forward seems to bring with it a lethal threat. Homewrecker by J.M. Daglish. We're getting there, we're getting there. She's here to help my daughter. She wants to steal my life. I have a gorgeous husband, Scott, two lovely children, a successful career, and a stylish townhouse. Anyone would think my life is perfect, but it's all a lie. My 12-year-old Katie has been in trouble at school and won't talk to me. Desperate, we hire young willowy brunette Deanna, an expert tutor, to help my daughter. I've been so worried, and my husband blames me. Have I failed as a mother? Deanna is our last hope, the only person who seems able to help my precious child, but I'm starting to wonder about her intentions. She's in my kitchen, touching Scott's arm. She and Katie seem to be keeping secrets, laughing as they glance at me, and I see her in my bedroom watching from the window as I leave for work. Then I find Deanna in Scott's study, examining an old framed photograph, and she begins to ask questions about Scott's beautiful ex-wife. I know her game. She's looking for something that will destroy my life, the life she wants for herself. But Deanna has underestimated me. I won't give up my perfect family without a fight, and she has no idea how far I'll go to stop her. Sounds kind of icky. And that's a technical term. Icky. Homecoming Queen, a small town political thriller by Chad Boudreaux. Time is of the essence as the hurricane of the century, predicted to obliterate everything in its path, barrels towards Annika's hometown. But the deadly storm is not her biggest problem. Not long ago, she was the high school's beloved homecoming queen, but now she finds herself on the run from the law and running out of time after family troubles force her to pursue vigilante justice. With the storm approaching and tensions in town increasing, factions brace for battle, with Annika and her sister trying to survive. That sounds like a movie from the 80s that we have seen. Four. Four left. Hoot, we were so close. All right. We will get to those on Friday, probably. But we got through 16, 17, 18 of them. Not bad. All right. It helped to start a little early, I do admit. Oh, she started doing that during the shutdowns? Yeah, no, these are going on to my TBR. The first one sounded interesting. You'll have to go back. It's doing a perspective switch on The Wizard of Oz, which is interesting. So we'll see. I'm going to check that one out further. All right. Again, I do have a sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I sometimes start a little bit early if traffic goes well and so forth. And the walk will be shorter for Keo once we cross the 90s, which we are expected to do today. Hope you have a very good day, and please take care of yourself. Stay cool, stay hydrated, read good books, and as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Don't like those types, just me. Oh, that's why there's so many books out there. That's why we look at over 75 each week. Absolutely okay, but I appreciate you watching. As the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Have a good day, and God bless.